It's amazing the shift of approach that we take with ourselves, how it can alleviate so much inner turmoil, stress, unsatisfaction, unhappiness, pressure, and the angst that most of us feel in life. In life, we are taught to motivate others and to motivate ourselves through pressure, whether that pressure is guilt, whether that pressure is nagging, constant comments, or this deep feeling of I'm not enough. And how we think we can successfully overcome that is by creating this external force of pressure to motivate ourselves or other people. And we often see this as an effective tool or ineffective tool that parents use towards children. They'll nag them, they'll pester them, they'll make them feel guilty, they'll pressure them. And if all of us have experienced other people doing that to us, how do we feel when other people pressure us? How do we feel when we have the sense of obligation, duty, that we have to do something? Automatically, it creates resistance and we don't want to do it. And as children, you have to do it, otherwise the consequences can be severe. We get punished, we get grounded, or just to shut the parent up or to shut our partner up, we will do what they're nagging us to do or pressuring us to do. But really, this has a blowback effect. This has unintended consequences that the person who's doing the pressuring doesn't realize. It creates this wall between the person, and if you've seen a parent who nags and nags and nags, or a spouse or a partner who nags, I've seen people go, oh, blah, 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 blah. They just keep nagging. It goes in one ear and out the other. The person who's doing the pressuring gets tuned out because it drives us crazy when we are pressured. It's such an ineffective way to motivate someone. And yet, that's the same strategy we use for ourselves. We feel this void within our lives. We feel we're not enough, we're not accomplishing enough, we're not successful enough. We always want more. We want more money, a partner, a bigger house, car, possessions, more success, more recognition, more appreciation. Always, always, that's the human dilemma, is this never-ending need for more. And no matter how high you get, and no matter how many goals you accomplish or how successful you are, and you see this in rich people and famous people, there's always more. And it's like this drug. You need that dopamine fix of more, and this constant dissatisfaction. And so how we try to motivate ourselves is by pressuring and beating ourselves up, making ourselves feeling bad. I got to do this. I got to eat healthy. I got to go to the gym. I gotta do. And it's like sucking the life or the motivation out of us when we do this. It's no longer fun. It's no longer a joy to do. It becomes a chore. And if the whole key about life, I think we should take our focus off of external things and focus on instead internal energy. We should manage our energy instead of looking so much at our goals and other people and external events, because external events are always in chaos, are always in flux, are always changing, and are never going to conform to our idealistic attitude or expectation we have upon them. But if we focus on our energy is something that we can manage. And that is the greatest feedback tool, is how our energy is making our spirit or our psyche or our intuition or our being feel. Does that energy make us feel tightened, heavy, burdened, like when we pressure ourselves or beat ourselves up, or constantly feel a sense of dissatisfaction? Or is that energy kind of like a cloud, light, flowing, able to adapt to the wind? If the wind blows it this way, it goes this way. If the wind blows it that way, there's not that sense of resistance and that negative, forceful energy. And that's really the best feedback we can give ourselves. And if you're trying to decide, I don't know what I want to do in life, I don't know what I should be, follow your energy that gives you that positive, glowing feeling. And for Pete's sake, stop pressuring other people. Because when you pressure other people, when you nag other people, when you try to, even subconsciously or subliminally, with whether it's a glance, a disapproving glance, that affects them and affects you, and it affects your relationship together. The best thing you can do is be an example for parents, in relationships. If you want your partner to be more generous, you start by being more generous and more giving. If you want your partner to be more communicative, you be more communicative. But if you start nagging and pressuring, the people dig in their heels and say, like a little kid, because we're all just grown up little kids, I'm not going to do that. And even if it's not verbally stated, it's in there. And people who nag just get tuned out. And how do you feel after you nag someone? Do you feel light, happy, glowing? Or do you feel, this sense of negative energy? So follow that energy. And with ourselves, because we're constantly in a state of dissatisfaction. And it comes from just being a human being. Thousands of years ago, when man was more in a survival mode, didn't know where his food was going to come from, didn't know where his shelter was going to come from, or his water source was going to come from, when life was more in peril, or there was a lot more, it was riskier, and there was more jeopardy, it paid to have this energy of I need more, to ensure your survival. If you didn't have that and you were just complacent, there's no backup. There's no backup plan. You can't run to the grocery store. You can't borrow money from friends or family. It's generally there was no backup, so it paid. But now we don't need that. We can breathe and just enjoy our being instead of go, get, want, need. I mean, do you see how this is constantly creating turmoil within us? Once we get to the point where we say, listen, I'm flawed, I'm messed up, I'm neurotic, I have all these issues, I'm overweight, I'm not attractive, I don't have a good enough job, I'm not successful like I'm supposed to be, I'm not living up to my potential. All these things that is going on in our monkey mind, which thousands of years ago helped us. It helped to motivate us or helped to ensure our survival. But now our basic needs are taken care of. Yeah, we have most of us, especially in Western countries, we have food, shelter, water, and most of us have a few friends and family that we can count on and connect with. And everything on top of that is gravy. But we make the gravy, we are constantly chasing the gravy, we're constantly chasing the cherry and the whipped cream and not appreciating what we already have. So the first step is expressing gratitude for what we have and accepting that we're flawed and we're never going to live up to our expectations that we have of ourselves, that others have of us. It's just part of being human. I talked about this in other videos, like Olympic athletes. That's all they do is practice their event. They go to tournaments and practice, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And still, after all this practice, all this sacrifice, they still mess up when it comes to the Olympics. Or you look at $1 billion corporation like Apple, who supposedly has the best technology and the best hardware and the best software. Whatever, I'm not getting in that debate now, but they're really well renowned for this. And they still mess up and make a program like Maps, which gets me lost every time I try to use it, or other miscellaneous flaws that they have. And they're $1 billion company. We are constantly in a state of imperfection. We're imperfect. And pressuring ourselves to be something that we're not. Sometimes there's just such freedom and liberation when we accept our limitations. That we're not as great or we're not as good as we think we're supposed to be. It lifts the burden off our shoulders. And we can just breathe and not trying to fulfill our expectations of ourselves or other people's expectations. We can just be. And sometimes when you take your foot off the gas pedal and you allow yourself to flow with this thing we call life, and as the current or as the wind takes you, magical things start to happen. You're not driving your life in a sense of with a negative energy or a forceful energy. It's okay, I'm overweight. That's okay. It's not I'm overweight, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight quick, I need to go to the gym, I need to do this. I'm overweight. I'll accept that. And maybe I'll just before I eat a meal, I'll have a piece of fruit to fill me up a little bit more. And so maybe I'll eat less before I do that. Instead of pressuring myself to go to the gym, I'll do something I like. Maybe I'll go for a 5-10 minute walk. And we bite off more than we could chew, making our goals realistic and achievable. Another thing, I'm throwing a lot at you here, but another thing that is very helpful, so you might want to rewatch this video in a week's time or a month's time, but another thing that is very helpful is, let's say we have a goal, and the goal is to get a better job, or the goal is let's take the example I'm using, losing weight. So let's make that the goal and breaking it down to its smallest components. Instead of saying, I got to lose weight, I got to lose 30 pounds, I got to go lose 40 pounds, I got to go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, let's make it just tiny little bite-sized pieces that are so achievable. And the hardest thing about accomplishing your goals or accomplishing tasks is starting. And the reason we have trouble starting is because we make it too overwhelming, and the mind says it's harder than it is, makes it harder than it thinks it is, and never gets that impetus, that motivation to start. So using a free app like Wunderlist, Wunderlist, you can write down your goal, and then you break it down in baby steps, and then you can shuffle those steps. Step 1, step 2, and then if you find step 10 needs to go in step 1, you can easily shuffle it. And making it simple. So first one, if the goal is losing weight, is I'll eat one piece of fruit a day. And you make that your goal for the first week, first 2 weeks. That's it. And the next one is I will take the stairs at work, or I'm going shopping, or I'm going somewhere, I'll take the stairs, or I'll park my car further and walk to where I'm going. And you start building this muscle of self-discipline, but there's no pressure. There's no, oh, I have to do this. You make it so easy that you can't help but accomplish it. And you start building these positive feelings of confidence and satisfaction instead of beating yourself up. Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Why can't you? And you can breathe. You give yourself space to breathe. But the first place to start is realizing that it's not going to make you happy. There's many people that have lost a lot of weight and they still have that void or still have that angst or that tension or that dissatisfaction with life within them. And that's the biggest misconception, is we think that achieving these goals, getting married, getting the job, becoming successful, graduating university, that's going to make us happy. No. What happens, we achieve that, and then we just replace that fix for another one. So you would never pressure another person, or you don't like to be pressured by other people to do things, right? So why do we think that would be an effective strategy with ourselves? So try it. Write down your goal, break it down the baby steps, and the moment you start seeing that monkey mind or that negative self-talk starting to kick in, Be firm with it. Hey, stop it. Stop it. You're okay. I accept you as you are. Yeah. Or just become aware of it, and you don't even have to resist it. Ah, there it goes. There goes monkey mind again, telling me I'm not good enough because of this, this, and this. And sadly, most of us are just acting out the programming that we've grown up with, that other people have put into our database or onto our hard drive. And we're just acting that out. And we act it out unconsciously. And there's such freedom and peace when you realize, I don't have to obey that. I don't have to follow that. And awareness is the first step. Just observing your mind and how your mind makes you crazy. And then you start to create a gap between your mind, that monkey mind, and who you truly are. And we are being 100 years, 50 years, 25 years, 1,000 years, all the things that we think are so important, so urgent, so catastrophic, really don't matter. We're just a small little grain of sand. And that's not to diminish who we are as human beings. It's actually liberation, because it frees us. We don't have to constantly live up to all these expectations we put upon ourselves. And we can just be. Man, there's just so much. Once you start being, you don't need these shots of dopamine or addiction to feel satisfied. You don't need these huge goals. Once you start practice being, the smallest things bring you just such peace and satisfaction. Just feeling the wind on your face, or cookies baking in the oven, or the rain coming down on your skin, or seeing a beautiful sunset or a sunrise, or a conversation with someone, or a smile. It's the small things that make life worthwhile, that we bury under the sand because we're so busy reaching for the stars, that we miss the flowers, the rivers, the friends, the family, the beautiful things that surround us constantly. Thank you very much for listening. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Bye-bye.